What's good, you guys? It's Lifestyle from LifeStyleDidIt.com, and in today's video we're going to be going over the most important part of any mix, and that is automation. If you don't know what automation is, it's just letting the computer or a robot do something for you pretty much. Automation can be applied really in any part of your business and in your mix. Today we're going to go over some tricks you could do to automate your mix and give it movement, because you don't want a static mix. Even if it's a beat mix, when you have movement, it creates excitement, EQ changes going on, volume changes, panning changes. You get all these cool things that get automated throughout the mix and kind of change it up so it's not just a static mix. I'm going to be going deeper into this with a full song later, but today we're just going to do the beat version of it. So automating a beat mix, making it more exciting. Let's get into it. All right, so there's probably about 3 million things you can automate in FL Studio. So I'm just going to show you guys a couple cool tricks that I like to do with automation. But really, anything you want to automate, if you want to automate this panning on this 808, click right here, create automation clip. And now you can control how that pans. If we want to automate this reverb, we can automate any part of it just by right clicking and going to create automation clip. So you can get really creative with it. So definitely the easiest one that I want to show you guys is having the hook be louder than the verses, and this creates more power when the hook comes in, and we're only going to increase it by maybe a dB or two, but just that small amount when it changes from verse to hook will really open up that hook and make it sound like it hits you harder, and all we're doing is raising the overall volume. So an easy way to do that, whether you're clipping or using a limiter to get your loudness, let's just go ahead and turn this off really quick. Let's go over to the hook. You see I still have quite a bit of headroom. I could have had more, but I mixed this beat kind of hot, but I still have about 2 dB of headroom. So what I'm going to do is put an EQ on here, and I'm only going to use this EQ for volume, so I don't have to EQ the master fader because I want it all to push into the same limiter. Automating the EQ is easier than the limiter because I'd have to make it learn this function, and I don't want to do all that. So all I'm going to do is go over to the EQ. I'm going to open it up, and on the volume knob, I'm going to create automation clip. So now I have this automation clip for the volume before the limiter. So I'm going to cut this up so it can match the hook. So right here and right here. So this is going to be placed everywhere where there's a hook. So before the hook, we are going to have just a normal one. So let's go over here and keep it like this. And let's make this one unique. So now every time that comes on, the volume will change. And every time this comes on, I'm going to put these down here, it'll go back to normal. So it's going to raise up every time. So let me just place this where every hook is. So all we need to do is go back to the hook, and let's make these bigger. Let's go down here and let's just bring this up in volume. All right, so now all of them are changed, and anywhere this is placed, the volume will go up by 2 dB before it feeds into our limiter, so that's good. So let's just set the limiter real quick and get it to do about 4 to 5 dB of gain reduction on the hook. All right, that sounds good to me. I'm gonna just set this real quick. And now you're gonna see when it goes from verse to hook or anything before, it's gonna get louder. Now you're gonna watch when this red bar comes in. This is gonna boost up. If we go over here, it's going to drop off and decrease the volume. That's going to separate our verses from our hooks and give the hook more power and more upfront. You can automate this many ways. If you want to just automate it on the volume knob on the master, you could do that too, but I'm doing it pre-limiter, and I'm just using a volume knob on an EQ. You could use a volume out knob on any plugin you want. You just grab the EQ because it has volume boost on it, so that's all I needed to do. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of automate some hi-hat volumes and some kick volumes, 808 volumes, snares, whatever, right before the hook drops out. So we don't necessarily need to automate the volume knob here. We can automate velocity since we're using single shot samples, and that'll literally just turn it down. So if we go over here to the hi-hat, we can go in here and change this velocity, and it's only going to change the volume since they're single shot, meaning they don't have multiple velocities. So the same hi-hat sample plays, and we could just turn that down instead of automating the volume here. It really depends how you want to do it. If you're working with track stems for a beat, you're obviously going to have to automate the actual audio wave file for the hi-hat. So let's get in here and get kind of creative. Let me just solo these drums. So let's go ahead and fade the volume of this out like we did. So all you have to do, if we reset all of these, we could highlight them all and then right click on one and drag down, and we could get like a fading out volume. Or we can go crazy like this. And we get this cool tone to it, right? And we could do this with the kicks as well. So anywhere we want, we could just make unique and change the velocity. Like I said, since we're using a single shot sample, we don't have to go in here and do it on the volume knob, and we're not working with stems. So right click, let's make these go up. Let's right click from here and make these go up in volume. Now we get this cool little fade in. And then all we'd have to do is take these two and bring them to every part over here.
At the end of our hooks, that's actually the complete wrong part. And then over here, so let's drag these here. And one more time over here, like this, and boom.
Now we have those automated pretty much. We don't have to automate the volume knobs because I explained that a million times. Let's do something cool on the verse. So when it drops out, once again, we're using a single shot on the 808, so we can automate the volume here. I'll show you how we could do that. Let's say we want to turn this volume down, and I'll show you why, if you're using single shot, velocity is easier because we don't have to do all this work we're about to do. So let's say for the verse, we wanted to turn it down, so we cut out the entire, well, actually, we could just cut out one segment, right? So let's make an automation clip. I like to pretty much call these on and off clips. So this is the normal clip, and then when we make unique, we have a new one, right? Let's drop the volume of the new one, and let's go single curve, that's fine. Let's drag this down. Anywhere we place this, the volume will change. So when the verse drops, we want the volume of the 808 to cut down. And now you'll see it drop down, right? And we can place that anywhere. You could do it that way, but since, like I said, we're working with single shots, literally we can just go in here, make unique since we're in the actual session, and we could just take these, Control A, hold Alt, and with our wheel go down, and now we're going to change the velocity of them, which makes it quieter. Just watch. You're not going to see this drop, but you're going to see the volume drop. So yeah, now we're down here. Two ways you could do it. You could do this a million different ways. Now, another cool thing you could do with automation is effect automation. So let's take this, and on this part, let's add some distortion to it. So when the verse comes in, we'll have some type of distortion going, and we could probably make this sound pretty cool. So let's get fast distortion and go crazy with it. Okay. Let's reduce the mix. And let's add an EQ, and this is what we're going to want it to sound like at the end, and then we're going to automate it. So let's just get the tone that we want. So we get some cool distortion out of it, right? All we need to do is go over here, and we can either automate the dry and wet knob or the on and off. I like to do the dry and wet knob, so create automation clip for fast distortion. And we're here. You're going to probably want to name these so you don't lose track of all of them. So this is going to be the fast distortion for that specific lead. So once again, let's do cut. So anytime that it's showing this, it's off. Anytime it's showing this, it's on. Let's test it. And it's going to cut on right now. Cool. Let's do that with the EQ as well. Now, automation does take a bit of time, but it's worth it in the end when your beat is constantly changing or your mix is constantly changing. However you want to do it, it's just worth it in the end because it's going to switch up and cool new parts come in and it just sounds good. But automation does take time. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and listen to this now. Now we gave it a different effect, and while these are on, we can change these at any time because we only affected the dry and wet knob. So let's see what this sounds like. If we want to make it more aggressive, we can do that. If we want to change our EQ, we could do that too. However we want to do this. We can go over here and give it something like this, and it's only going to happen when these cut on. however you want to do it, you can get creative. You can automate the reverb for this too. So let's do one more. Let's go over here and let's turn these off. And let's just automate a ginormous reverb for this section. That sounds pretty cool. Let's add them all in and see what it does. And that gave it a really cool tone. We could do that reverb on the snare, 1 snare, 2 snares, however we want to do it. You can get so creative with automation, and that's the coolest part. But this was just a few couple tricks that I wanted to show you guys that I like to do. There's a million more. If you want me to cover more automation, let me know. I will definitely be doing more of these videos because they're really fun to do. If you guys did like this video, leave a thumbs up. You can follow me on all social medias at LifeStyleDidIt. Make sure to hit my site, LifeStyleDidIt.com, for everything else. Other than that, subscribe to your boy, push notifications. Thanks.